Hi everybody, this is Penny Hunt and this is Penny Heart to Heart. Day four in a row. I want to talk to you today about several things. For those of you who have been with me every day, and many of you have, we have talked about a lot of things, and the whole point of getting together here today like this is to have a place where we can lift each other up and gather in gratitude about what is good about our lives, no matter what's going on in the rest of the world and around us, and maybe even in our world if you're intimately affected by this. So a place that we can get together and chat, and I can share a few tips and techniques that I talk about and wrote about and continue to press out into the world so that I share what works for me, and many of them, most of them seem to work for other people, and so that's my whole point of sharing with you today. I haven't forgotten that it's St. Patrick's Day. I'm wearing my green sweater today, and so I know it's usually a day of celebration and parties and food and all kinds of things. I will tell you, I'm not Irish, so I am not, I don't have a history of huge St. Patrick's Day celebrations. But I'm going to talk to you about green because it is St. Patrick's Day. So just to recap a little bit, so far some of the things that we've talked about, I've shared with you about creating a personal troubleshooting guide, a list of things, and a way to keep track of what makes you feel good, what makes you happy, people that make you feel good. So during this time of isolation, and if you were like me and staying in your home, you have something to fall back on and look at when you feel sad or bored or lonely, and you can look at this list and do something that makes you feel good. Today I want to talk about something for you, because I think when we're in this kind of situation, many of us are caregivers and we take care of everybody else before us. And so we've shared some things about pampering ourselves a little bit. And so today I'm going to give you a tip, kind of bouncing off of our first meeting together. The first time, 4 days ago, our first one, I talked about meditation. And I told you how I believe that meditation saved my life during a really stressful time. And I've tried to do some form of meditation in my life pretty consistently for over 15 years now. And I shared with you just a snippet of what we're going to do today. I shared with you a technique I call the breath of green. And it is really a one breath meditation. I have taught this so many times on St. Patrick's Day. Many times I do some speaking on this day, and I work some with hospice. I have been a speaker at their events, and I have worked with their volunteers and their staff and their grief groups, which is a gift to me to be able to do that kind of work. I've taught grief writing workshops with groups who have just lost loved ones. And such heart-touching work for me and meaningful for me, one of my favorite things to do. And so I teach this there a lot. But I think right now, during this time of stress, everybody is kind of stressed. And stressed because we're really confused and we are uncertain about what really is going on. And what end of the spectrum is it? Is it really, really disastrous, or is it maybe overblown a little bit, or where is it in the spectrum? And so to be safe, I think we kind of look at the worst and hope for the best and keep ourselves isolated in our homes so that we keep not only ourselves safe, but everybody else safe. And that's our whole point. So this one, during this time of stress and uncertainty and all the things, anxiety that go along with this, this is a tip and technique that we talked about on day one, and I'm going to really go through it with you today. I also, in the little writing with this video, I shared the link so that you can read the blog about it and where I wrote it. I don't even know how many years ago I wrote that blog. It was years after I started teaching it. But you can see in detail why I wrote it and how it works. I usually post it around St. Patrick's Day, but today we're just going to work on it together. So what I want you to know, and for those of you who are with me on day one, this is just a little bit of repeat here in the beginning, is that when we think of our heart, we think of red and pink and Valentine's Day and roses. And that's wonderful and fun. But if you know anything about alternative medicines, they consider energy systems in our body. And the energy system that runs around our heart is green. The chakra around our heart is green. And that is why I call this technique the breath of green. I want you to think now while we talk through this about your heart being green, and think of a big shiny circle around our heart that is green and beautifully glowing like an emerald. That's what I want you to keep in mind as we do this. So instead of thinking of the pink and the red, we're going to think of our heart, and we're going to do this technique called the breath of green. Now, if any of you like to do yoga, and I do. In fact, I did yoga, got my yoga in this morning. And just a side note on that, if you think you can't get to your gym or to your yoga studio, our local yoga studios are doing it online now. And many of them are. So check that out. Make sure you don't miss out on your group, or look on YouTube for different exercise things that you can do so that we stay healthy. But I got mine in this morning. I tried the other day and didn't get it done, so I was happy about that. But in yoga, they teach us how to breathe. They talk about breathing into our belly, right? Breathing into your belly. And that is one technique of breathing. But today I want you to think about your lungs. And when we breathe, what we're really trying to do is fill our lungs with fresh air, correct? Right. So, many times when you're doing yoga, they say put your hand on your stomach and feel your belly. Fill your belly with air. So right now, do this with me. I would like you to put one hand on your chest and one hand on your tummy, and take a deep breath in. And tell me what happens. See, what really should happen is if we're trying to fill our lungs with air, our chest should expand. Our chest should expand. I'm sitting now, but if you're standing, what happens when your chest expands, your chest pushes out, your shoulders go back, you stand up straighter, and I always say you will instantly lose 5 pounds without even trying. So there's your bonus gift for the day. But if you think about just breathing in, filling those lungs, let's take a couple deep breaths and fill those lungs as deeply as you can. What happens when you take a deep breath like that is it instantly calms you down. I have never been a smoker, but I have this concept, this belief, that part of the calming effect of people smoking cigarettes is just the deep breath they take when they inhale their cigarette. And so for those of us who don't smoke, it's just taking those deep breaths and exhaling. And so I always wonder if we taught people who are trying to quit smoking or have quit smoking to do this deep breathing just like this, they might get the same kind of benefit that they always say smoking calms them down. So one deep breath can really just calm you down. So now that we've done a couple deep breaths, what I want you to do is when you breathe in, I want you to think about filling those lungs with green, with crisp, clean green. And I want you to attach love to that. So when you take a deep breath in, I want you to visualize in your mind filling your lungs with fresh, crisp, green love. Now, as you know, I live in Wyoming, and today we have blizzard warnings out. So we're supposed to get a blizzard in the next couple days, added on to everything else, which encourages us to stay inside. So we're kind of used to that. But soon spring will be here, and then we will see green everywhere. What I want you to do is when you visualize that green. If you need to visualize green trees and green plants and things that you love that are green, that's wonderful. Then when you exhale, I want you to visualize in your mind pushing out all the worries, all the concerns, all the dirty things that you're carrying around in your mind and in your heart that cause you stress and cause you anxiety and cause you fear. Because you'll hear me say this a million times, it's all about fear. So breathe in love, breathe out fear. Take a deep breath in. Breathe in green. Surround that heart chakra with green, shiny, clean, crisp love. And then breathe out, push out. Exhale all of the dirt and the worries and the concerns that you have about everything that's going on in life and how it might affect you, and the worries you have about work and your family, and maybe you have elderly relatives that you're worried about, and just the world in general for what's going on. Breathe all those concerns out. It is a one breath meditation. Now, here's the challenge I'm going to give you today, and I'm going to follow up on it because you'll hear me bring up this technique several times if you hang with me, because I plan on doing these live videos every day. I always say, if you do this for 1 week consistently, your life will change, and if it doesn't, email me, contact me, and I will tell you how you're doing it wrong. That's how much I believe in it. Because if you can just take a breath, if you have a moment of anxiety, a moment of fear, a moment of stress where you're ready to explode, whether you're going to argue with someone or you're going to crumble and have a meltdown because of your own mind, whatever the circumstances, if you can just step back, take one breath, breathe in green, breathe in love, breathe out fear, it will change your life. And here's what happens. You will start to notice green. So every time you see green, this is the challenge. Every time you see green, I want you to take a conscious breath in. Breathe in love, breathe out fear. You will start to notice green everywhere. It's why I brought up spring. Soon, in our area, and maybe you're in an area where you have a lot of green already outside, you will see green trees and budding leaves and green everywhere. When you start to think about searching for green, it will click in your mind like a computer, and your mind will start searching. It's like reticular thinking. What you look for, what you think about, you'll see more of. You will see green cars pass you. If you are not like me, the 0.5% that loves to stand in front of a group of people and speak, and that makes you really nervous, if you have to do a presentation for work or a speech of any kind, and you get up there to talk and you get really nervous and you have stage fright, look around the room. It almost never fails when I talk about this in a presentation that someone in the front row is wearing green, wearing a green sweater, wearing a green jacket, or they have a green notebook or a green pen in their hand. They have something that triggers my mind right there in the front row of green. And then you can breathe in green, breathe in love, breathe out fear. You will start to notice that when you get your mail comes, envelopes will come, junk mail will be in a green envelope. You will stop at a red light and maybe you're late for an appointment or for work. And then when that light turns green and you see that green, breathe in love, breathe out fear. Breathe in love, breathe out fear. And remember, always concentrate on how full you can get your lungs. I am very sensitive to people with lung issues. My dad had a lung disease, so I know some people can't take huge, deep breaths, but do this to the extent you can. Take a deep breath to the extent that you can. Breathe in love and breathe out fear. And even if it's a shallow breath, you could still visualize breathing in love, breathing out fear. I challenge you, today is Tuesday. So I'm going to make a note to myself next Tuesday when I pop in and talk to you. I'm going to say, okay, it's been a week. How is it going? How are you doing on your breath of green? And don't be afraid to contact me. You can contact me here. Write something underneath this video. If you have a question, send me an email or contact me through my website. My website is pennyhunt.com and my email is pennyhunt@gmail.com. pennyharttoheart.com, so it's easy to get a hold of me. And I promise I answer everybody myself. So if you have a question about it or you want to share how it's working for you, that's what I always love. Now, I have been adding on kids onto all of these Facebook Lives and talking about kids. So if you are home and you have kids out of school and you're home with them, this is a great calming exercise. I know many people around the country their schools have sent packets home, so they're homeschooling their kids in essence for a while. And so maybe you have a schedule, but of schoolwork and playing outside and maybe video game time or whatever your schedule looks like. But this is a great way to incorporate a calming time into your day. Set them on the floor. Kids are always wanting to learn new things. And you can use green toys and things to trigger their green for them. And so if your kids start to get irritated with each other, and have a calming time, sit on the floor in a circle and say, okay, let's try this. Let's just try it and see if we can take a breath and breathe in love and breathe out fear. I talked yesterday about how I believe that love and fear are the dichotomy of everything in our world, in our lives, in our hearts, because you can't, I don't believe, live in both places at the same time. So during this time of uncertainty and fear and challenge that we're in, if we can try to live on the side of love and gratitude, and yesterday we talked about what's good about this situation, and maybe many of you thought nothing. But I think if you really think about it, you can start coming up with things that are good happening in your life, in your heart right now, while we are in this situation of self-isolation in our homes, or just spending time with our families and slowing down a little bit. And this slowing down, I think really, if you look at it, is kind of a gift. And this breath of green fits right in to that gift. So I hope you are celebrating St. Patrick's Day at home. And I hope you have a great time. And if you're Irish, happiness to you. I know it's a big holiday for you. And whether you're having corned beef and cabbage or whatever you're doing tonight to celebrate, I hope you stay home and you're with a small group of those you love, and stay safe and happy. So happy St. Patrick's Day. Happy Breath of Green. I hope you all try it. I hope it works for you. And I really hope you let me hear what you think about it. So tomorrow, be here again. This has been Penny Heart to Heart. Thanks for watching.